Hi, Dr. Hicks and everybody. I just wanted to make a post about something that I've been reflecting on throughout this faith formation class. And what I've been reflecting on a lot is the future of Sunday school or religious education or lifespan education. But particularly, I guess, just thinking about how our kids interact in the church environment going, right now and going forward. And it seems that there have been so many voices talking about this subject in class that I kind of wanted to give an overview of things that I've observed. And so I guess I'll start with my observations of the classes at the UU Church and at the Catholic Church that kind of influenced some of my thinking and was a great exposure to just this topic in general. One thing I've been thinking about a lot is what Judith Farrell said about how the Sunday school or religious education might move forward into the future. And her viewpoint was that because we lack so many students, at least in our area, and I think this is common in other areas of the country, if you're not a large UU church, then you don't have a lot of children. And so she spoke on moving forward with religious education, what she felt might happen, and that is that there would be sort of a merging of different faith communities. And so the children would be working together in kind of an interfaith setting. So her take on the future of religious education was to meet at a time other than Sunday mornings, perhaps in an evening time, and then gather the children from various UU churches, Protestant churches in the area, and then have them all working together in a kind of community setting, religious education. And I found that to be rather intriguing. So it's something that I've been reflecting on as far as whether or not that would work as a strategy in my area. I'm kind of close to 3 different UU churches, none of which have religious education for children. And I know that parents, they come to the church seeking that directly, but there just isn't anything to support that here and in my area in Florida. So I wondered if maybe Judith Farrell's suggestion might work in our case. And then another piece that I've been reflecting on is this idea of family faith formation and working together to form their faith in a kind of general church. I interviewed the director of religious education at St. Lucie Catholic, and Andrea said that really, they want the children to be a part of the worship service. And that's something I'm also hearing in the UU environment. So their take on it was also to remove faith, classes, religious education classes from the Sunday morning component that takes place during the service to evening hours. But with the way that it was set up, the parents would come together with the children on the first meeting, and then they would be instructed as far as what was going to be covered, topics that were going to be covered. And so then they would take a packet home and they would work through this packet with their children to, learn together in this kind of family setting. And then the children would come back on their own at a later point, but only every 2 weeks or so for one evening. to work directly in the classroom setting with the religious education volunteers. And it was Andrea's take that this kind of setting first provided a situation in which the children could participate in the Sunday services with their family, which was important to her and to their congregation. And also then working together as a family in faith formation seemed to help kids bridge that gap over time. They were more interested in continued participation. And from what I saw when I observed, they were very engaged in what was happening in the classroom. But overall, after interviewing both Judith and Andrea, their main take was that families that were in formation together were more likely to continue to be involved in the church and continue to come throughout their lifespan and see this as sort of more of a lifelong learning process than families that separated children from parents and sort of disassociated the learning. So I've been reflecting on those things. I've also been reflecting on some of the conversations that we've had in class about this kind of church for the new generation and what that might look like. Kind of more specifically, what people are wanting and the changes that people are wanting. And I think this fits in with the piece that we just covered in class the other day on BIPOC voices and the video that was shared in that lesson. Because I'm seeing that there's going to be a lot of change coming, and I feel like there's kind of this reshaping of the process that's taking place into maybe more of a program that is, or that presences many different voices in new ways, and that centers those voices in a way that is more meaningful for them. I think also during that discussion, particularly the video itself, Veritas and Nahara and Jason all talked about their own experiences in being raised in faith traditions and what brought them to the UU setting. And then, they went over kind of what's not working. And so I guess what I've been hearing a lot about is that what we have isn't working, and we're trying to sort of fix this problem. And it's not working on many levels. It's like not working on an institutional level. It's not working systemically. We, need to disengage with white supremacist culture, change the nature of the programming itself, and restructure things. And so what was talked about in that video, Beloved Conversations, I've heard from so many people, and not just BIPOC people, but people just within the UU setting itself. And so I'm kind of wondering where this is all going and where we might end up. And how we might honor our fourth principle, the inherent plurality of the human experience. And so, and then kind of envision just like a living practice, those practices that sort of bundle together or seek to integrate the mind, the heart, the body, this kind of sense of personhood. And so those are some of the things I've been reflecting on, as we've gone through the class, in terms of where we might be going into the future, and how I might fit in that future, what types of things I might want to focus on. And I don't have an answer for that right now, but I think at least we're getting that conversation started, and I look forward to seeing how this all comes together in the end, for the class, and then what ideas kind of germinate as I progress through Meadville. I'm very early on in my program, of course. And so I'm excited about the journey and where things might take me, and what all of this means, and what kind of changes will come about.